right, so we are on the road in the Acura Integra Type S, and we are going to be going over all of the AcuraWatch systems, covering them in depth, what they are, how they work, and how they stack up to other versions of this same system. Acura isn't the first company to come out with an adaptive cruise control. Acura isn't the last company to come out with an adaptive cruise control, etc., so on and so forth. So we're going to actually loop around, go to the other side of the highway where there's less traffic, and talk about all of these systems. But in doing so, we can cover the blind spot system right off the bat. So in the corner of the mirror, the light illuminates. If the light is on, it implies that there is a vehicle that is in fact in your blind spot. If you go to make a change when there is a vehicle that the car determines is in your blind spot, it will not only blink on the mirror, but it will release a tone. See, check this out. That note, the moment you hear that tone, you know that that move you're about to be making, that lane change you're about to be making is a little bit dicey. And it actually works really, really well. The orange light is super visible and the tone is super clear. So you know very quickly, I gotta check that maneuver I made because it might have been a little dicey. So I actually really love the implementation of the blind spot here. Now, they're not reinventing the wheel. They're not doing anything crazy. A lot of other companies place their blind spot in the corner of the mirror. It's that same color orange. It blinks when there's someone there. So no groundbreaking stuff there, but I guess the report is that it works remarkably well in this car. All right, now as we get up to speed on this highway, we are going to talk about three specific features. We're going to talk about the radar cruise, we're going to talk about the lane keep, and we're going to talk about the lane departure warning, because those are two very different things of which I have varying opinions on. This is a classic New England on-ramp scenario where the people that are exiting the highway don't know how to do it, and because of that, the people that are entering the highway also don't know how to do it. Like that. That was a move. Good job, buddy. Getting up to speed on the highway, we can talk about the adaptive cruise control system first. Now, how to enable it and turn it on is you click this button right here. It powers on your cruise control. You know your cruise control is on in your Acura Integra if the instrument cluster separates and paves a way for a car in the center with the cruise control icon there. That is how you know that your system is on and ready to go. Now, to turn it on, you go down on this little toggle the moment you're at the speed you want to maintain. If you want to increase the speed up on this little dial, it's not a dial, it's a switch, and you increase the speed, and you can see the speed you have in two places. Down here, the cruise control is set to 57, and then up here, when you change the speed, you can see it reflected on the heads-up display in the car. And the cruise control system works just as you would think it would, with one caveat. Because this car is a manual transmission, the cruise control will not actually recommend to shift for you. Here's what happens if you increase the rate of speed. So we're going to bring it up to 70. I'm in 5th gear. I'm just going to shift to 6th. I'm not going to change anything. Cruise control stays enabled and it still reaches the speed that you have set. Love that. Okay, you don't have to take cruise control off, you don't have to put it back on. No, it just works naturally as it should. But this works inverse as well. The car does not recommend that you shift gears. So as this truck hits the brakes here, this car is going to slow down. We're at 60 miles an hour, we're at 58 miles an hour, but it's not recommending me change gears. Now, you might say, hey, that's because we're above 2,000, but if we went even slower, it still wouldn't change gears. It would continue to brake, it would continue to slow down, but it wouldn't say, hey, go from 6 to 5 or from 6 to 4 or something like that. It'll actually choke the car out before it tells you to shift gears, which is a bit frustrating. I would have loved to have some sort of indicator on the heads-up display that was like 6 to 5 or 5 to 4 or something like that, because it maintains the cruise system. The cruise system still works. It just, for whatever reason, doesn't tell you you should shift gears. So that is how the radar cruise system works. The last thing you need to know is in order to change the follow distance, you hit this button right here. The more bars you see either in your instrument cluster or on your heads-up display, implies distance to the car in front of you. So the less bars you see, the closer the radar cruise control is willing to get to the vehicle in front of you. Now, depending on the scenario or your comfort level, you can change this distance to whatever you like. I usually do the first or second click away because I think the very far away system is too sensitive to cars going in front of you. So because of that, I like to go just that little bit closer. Now, let's move on to the lane systems. We have departure warning and we have lane keep, and those are two very different systems. The departure warning is exactly what it implies. It says, hey, if you're departing a lane, I'm going to warn you and potentially assist you. I call this the ping pong system, because if it notices you are going out of lane, we have no one to our right. If it notices you're going out of lane, it'll say, hey, lane departure. It'll warn you on the heads-up display, and it'll turn you back in. This does not drive for you. Okay, we're going to do it one more time. But it keeps you in the lane, warns you that you did it, and tells you, hey, just be careful. Oh, one more thing to note, I haven't noticed this yet. In the instrument cluster, we're going 51 miles an hour, but our cruise control is set to 70. It actually shows you on the display how far away you are from your desired speed. That's really interesting. I don't see that often on cars. Shout out to Acura for doing that. That's really cool. But okay, that is how the lane departure warning system works. It's a good system to have for long road trips, for safety, for things of that nature. It is not an autopilot or auto drive system, okay? It'll ping pong you throughout the lane. Its goal is to not keep you centered. Its goal is to just keep you in the physical lane that you operate on. But the second thing that we have is the lane keep assist. Now that is this button right here. The moment you click it, you see a green steering wheel illuminate once you are above a certain speed that works on your heads-up display, and you also see that same green steering wheel right here in the instrument cluster. Now this system is designed to keep you in the lane. So not to make sure you depart, but to keep you in the lane. That is a lane centering system. So you will see this feature consistently make micro changes to the steering wheel in order to keep you centered in the lane, and it works really well. We have a slight corner coming up here, and you can see the steering wheel do it all itself, slightly move. This is actually a pretty good system. Now, if you have a sharp turn or something like that, it is late to react, right? It doesn't have an extensive suite of sensors or cameras like a Tesla Autopilot, like a GM Super Cruise or Ford Blue Cruise, but it is good enough at help taking some of the tension off of a high mileage daily commute should you have it. It keeps you centered in the lane, it works really well, and in order to make sure the system keeps going, you just apply a little pressure to the steering wheel and you can keep going. This isn't a Tesla Autopilot or full self-drive, whatever. You still got to be attentive, but it definitely helps. Here's what it looks like if you take your hands off the steering wheel for a prolonged period of time. You guys can sort of count how long it takes for this Acura to react. Let's see. Ready? Let's go. So still haven't received a warning yet. It's been maybe 15 seconds. There we go. There's our first warning. Steering required. Steering required. Will it actually kick me out? Let's see if it'll kick me out. Steering required. Audible noise. And it's taken off the system. It took off the system with that audible noise, but the moment I applied a little bit of steering, we're back. So that's good. Okay, it might have been a little bit too long till that warning came in, but hey, it came in. We'll take it. So those are the driving assists that you have on the highway. You have the blind spot system, you have the radar cruise, you have the lane departure, and you have the lane keep. Let me know what you guys think about those systems, but we're going to take this party to a crowded parking lot where I can show you guys how the rear traffic alert system looks and how the parking sensors in this car look. Let's do a little bit of TV magic right now. All right, we are in a parking garage and we are going to show off a couple things. The sensors and the rear traffic alert. So we'll start with the sensors in the front. We got this very large column in front of us. Hopefully the bumper picks it up. There are sensors over the front bumper that act like a parking sensor. And you can see right here on the dash, it says warning, approaching object, and it shows you how far away and from which sensor it is picking it up. Hopefully you guys can see that okay. But right off the front headlight, we see there is an object a little bit further away, and wouldn't you know it, right off the front headlight, there is an object further away. As we get closer, the beeps get a little louder. And then the moment you are stopped, the moment you're at zero, the beeps stop as well, which is nice. Now, let's talk about the rear. The moment you put the rear camera on, you are presented with a couple of views of what is a not so high resolution camera. But you have this view right here. You have this view right here. The real big difference, if you look at these two cars here, which are in the spots right behind me, that's where you'll see it. It sort of magnifies this area a little bit. It's a tighter window. This is more fisheye. Oh, that's our rear traffic alert. We'll get to that hopefully a little later as another car goes by us. But we also have this view, which is top down. It does its best to show close, and you sort of get this view in a lot of other cars. As you get closer to a vehicle, it'll just change over. Not in the Acura. You really do have to click that button. Now, you also have another view for your sensors. You have the same rear sensors. Oh, there's the rear traffic again. You have the same sensor view on the corners of the front, and then you also have the full rear sensor view. Both of these are really helpful. I like having the sensor image here. I like having the different views of the camera. I wish this camera had a slightly higher fidelity, or was a little, just more vibrant, or it didn't look like a Razr cell phone. But hey, that's okay. It does the thing, so I'll take it. But the rear traffic alert, you've seen it a couple times now. It'll effectively show on screen where the vehicle is coming from. See this car approaching? The arrow tells us, hey, there's a car. There's another one coming. Hey, there's a car coming from this way over your screen, and it notifies you here as well. So that is how the rear traffic alert system works. Now, the last two things that we have are the auto high beams and the forward collision warning. Admittedly, both of those are a little bit harder to show. The auto high beam system, in my experience so far, has been okay. The Genesis and Ford systems work the best. They recognize the vehicle the most quickly, turn off and turn on the quickest. This Acura Integra lags a little bit. It puts the high beams in people's eyes, and then it takes a little bit longer to turn back on after it passes a car. So I usually actually have that auto high beam system off. You'll know it's on when you have your high beams, when you see that little A in that high beam belt. That is when you know your automatic high beams are on. If your normal high beams are on, that system turns off, or you can turn it off yourself just by sort of pulling back on the light switch. So overall, what do I think about the AcuraWatch systems? First off, I am beyond pleased to have most of these in a manual transmission car. Oftentimes, when a company goes manual, they forego a lot of those cruise control and other systems just in the name of sportiness and saving weight, which is ridiculous in a car like this. But that's the answer I was given for the memory seats. But you guys have already seen that video of my gripe, so I'm not going to go too far into that. So anyway, I love the fact that they are all included. The radar cruise control system in a singular lane works very well. The lane keep system also works really well. The blind spot is clear, it's loud, it works really well. All of the systems I have no problem with, and I enjoy that Acura allows you to turn them off should you want to. While I don't recommend that, the fact that you have the ability to do so is really, really nice. Acura leaves it up to you to decide which one of these systems you want to keep on or turn off. That is it for today's episode of the Moneyshift YouTube channel. You now know what the AcuraWatch system is, how it pertains to this Integra Type S, and you make the decision for yourself. Is it worth it? Is it a system that works well? Let me know in the comments. I'm Moneyshift. This Sunday we are going to be hitting up the autocross, so look for a autocross video to hopefully fast follow on Sunday. At latest it will be Monday. If you guys have any other questions on this car, we got almost 2,000 miles now. We're at the 1,868 mile mark. We will easily crest 2,000 miles this weekend, so I'll do a 2,000 mile update for you guys, how our MPG has been, how everything has been along that journey. But that is the end of this specific video, so I will see you next time. Goodbye.